It's time for another video of me crying, but this time it's because of onions. I hope. Hi, welcome to another episode of Grub Gab with me, Pixie, where I show you how to make something delicious to eat, and then I eat the delicious thing while talking about various subjects. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my caramelized onion and thyme dip. You know how you have like the French onion soup mix and you're supposed to mix it with like sour cream to get like a dip or something like that? This is 10 times better than that, I promise you. And today we're going to be talking about my urban encounters with wild creatures. So before I start grubbing and gabbing, let me show you how to make this delicious dip that can also be used as a sandwich spread. Yum! Start by chopping up 3 cloves of garlic. You don't have to chop it very finely because after everything is done and cooked, it's going to be blitzed up in a food processor. Next, remove 2 tablespoons of thyme leaves from the stems. You don't want the stems because they're tough and woody. Next, you'll want to slice 2 medium yellow onions. You don't have to slice them very thin, but make sure they're not big chunks or uneven so they can cook all at the same time. And that's it for the prep. Heat up 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil in a large pan and heat it up on medium heat. Then add all of your sliced onions. To the onions, you'll want to add 1 teaspoon of sugar. This helps the caramelization process. And also add half a teaspoon of salt. That'll help draw out the moisture and help the onions cook down a lot faster. Give everything a good stir together and then even it out at the bottom of the pan and continue to cook it on medium heat for 10 minutes. Once 10 minutes are up, give it a good stir and then lower the heat to medium-low. You want to continue cooking it for another 15 minutes, giving everything a good mix every 5 minutes. Between each stir, make sure you're flattening out the onions at the bottom of the pan so they cook evenly. Next, add the chopped garlic and give it a good mix throughout the onions, and then continue to cook it on medium-low heat for 5 minutes. Next, we're going to add the fresh thyme to the onions. Next, we're going to add 1 teaspoon of balsamic vinegar. This kind of brightens up the onion mixture so it's not as heavy and sweet. The acidity kind of gives it another level of flavor. And then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. This kind of gives it the same flavor and umami depth that packet soup mix often has. Give the onions a good mix to ensure everything is mixed through and continue to cook on medium-low heat for another 5 minutes. Once it's done, turn off the stove and give everything a good mix one more time. And then you'll want to let the onions cool for about 10 to 15 minutes. Next, put your onion mixture into the bowl of a food processor. And blitz it until it's pretty smooth. You're actually going to have to stop it and open up the top to scrape down the sides to make sure you get all the big chunks blended in. And give it a go for a second time. What you're looking for is kind of a chunky onion paste. It's not very soupy, but it's going to thin out once you mix it with everything else. To a large mixing bowl, you want to add 16 ounces or 2 cups of sour cream. You can use full fat or low fat if you want. In the bowl with the sour cream, we're going to add 2 5.3-ounce containers of non-fat Greek yogurt. It actually equals about 1 1/4 cups if you have a bigger container you want to measure from. If you're vegan, don't worry, I have substitutes listed for my recipe on my website, PixieNoms.com. In the bowl with the sour cream and yogurt, we're now going to add the onion mixture paste that we made. Then we're going to add 1 more teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Add hot sauce to taste. I used about 1 teaspoon, but you can use more or less if you want. And then a few grinds of black pepper to taste. Then give everything a good mix just to start getting the ingredients all incorporated together. And then you'll add about 3 to 4 tablespoons of milk to the mixture. This helps thin it out so it's not as thick and it makes it a more dippable texture. Once everything is thoroughly mixed, cover it with plastic wrap and let it sit in the fridge for at least 1 hour so all the flavors can meld together. Once it's done having a chance to hang out in the fridge, take it out and before serving, taste it and add salt and pepper if it needs to be adjusted. Spoon the dip into a bowl to serve alongside vegetables, chips, or even crackers. Or you can use it as a flavored sandwich spread. If you need the written recipe with measurements, you can find it on my website, PixieNoms.com. Ta-da! And that is how you make my caramelized onion and thyme dip. I kind of put out an array of veggies and some chips to kind of call it a lunch. It's not really a lunch, but let's pretend it is, okay? So let's go ahead and take a taste. The caramelized onions have kind of a sweetness to them. The fresh thyme adds like an herbaceous, almost citrus-like note to it. And it's so good that once you make this, you'll never go back to making the one with the soup mix. I promise you that. By the way, I'm allowed to double dip in this bowl because it's mine. I'm not sharing with anybody. I'm gonna eat a broccoli tree and I'm gonna get to talking. This is so good, shoulder shimmy. So let's get to talking about me and my encounters with creatures in the urban lifestyle setting. If you know me, you will know that I am not well equipped to deal with any sort of wildlife. Dead or alive, I'm just like, I can handle squirrels, I can handle chipmunks. I would like to think I can handle raccoons, but I've never encountered one very close, live and in person. So, I mean, I guess I would like to think that I can handle raccoons, but most of the time, if it's a creature and it's running towards me, I flip out. I hate bugs. Most people know about me being terrified of spiders. But, you know, it's really strange to live in an urban setting and still have these encounters with wildlife. Does anybody else do that? Like shove a whole chip in their mouth so they don't ruin their lipstick, or is that just me? I feel like it's something that many people might do. My mom always said I had a big mouth, and I guess that just proves it. All right, so this story was from many, many years ago. I had just moved into this particular house, and one morning I woke up, opened the blinds to my front room, the front window of my living room, and it faces out to the street. And so I open up the blinds and I noticed something out front, just beyond the sidewalk in the gutter of the street, catches my attention. It's like this giant mass of fur, and it is not moving. So I didn't realize at the time that you can call animal control. They'll take care of dead animals for you. I was like, I can't just ignore it. Like I have to get rid of it or it's going to stink. It's going to attract like bugs, which is pretty awful to me. It's gonna attract like birds, crows, I don't know. It's gonna attract all sorts of other critters that'll come and eat the dead thing. And I, as I said before, am extremely ill-equipped in dealing with these type of situations. I'm really horribly ill-equipped when dealing with animals and dead animals and how to dispose of them. I'm really squeamish. I have a very highly sensitive gag reflex. So all of this is going through my mind. I'm like, how am I supposed to pick up this dead creature? And if it stinks, I'm probably gonna throw up on it. And I'm one of those people who hate throwing up. So like once you start throwing up, or once I start throwing up, it just keeps coming because I can't stop myself, and I work myself into like a frenzy of like a frenzied endless cycle of gagging and throwing up. So all of this is going through my head, and I'm just like, I have to deal with it though, because I live alone. There's no one else to come and help me deal with these types of things. So I'm just gonna have to be an adult, buckle down, and handle this situation like the capable adult that I hope that I am. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, it looked big. It looked fairly sizable. It's probably too heavy for this yard dustbin that I have because it's made of flimsy plastic and it's a big, fat, raccoon-looking creature that's dead in the gutter. So I realize that my only hope of disposing it is unfortunately having to pick it up. Now, I am grossed out by this thought, so I figure I need to find a way to pick it up with the least amount of contact possible with this thing. You know, I don't want to touch it with my bare hands, so let me think of an idea. Yep. Pausing the story there to get a few more bites in. In my problem-solving mind of how to dispose of this raccoon with minimal contact, I decided that I needed to protect myself in case the raccoon had rabies. I know it's not gonna bite me, it's already dead, but gross germs. So I came up with this brilliant idea to use garbage bags. Now, The only type of garbage bags that I had at home at the time, and the only garbage bags that I really do still have at the time, are these flimsy little plastic thingies. And so I figure if I like put them on my arms, I could pick up the raccoon and somehow maneuver it into a bag and I could dispose of it that way. But then I'm like, what if it's injured and there's guts spilling out all over the place and something is flung at me? I need more protection. So I get one of the garbage bags and I put it over me like a smock. Oh, I am a genius. You know, just get this smocky garbage baggy thing over me and a hole in it so my head can fit through it so I don't suffocate myself during this adventure. And have two other garbage bags pulled onto my arms. And, you know, I'm armored up. I'm feeling good, you know. Then I open the garage door. I go out my garage to go deal with the raccoon because I'm so smart. I've got, you know, garbage bags on my arms. I got this garbage bag over the front of me so like no guts can like splash back on me. I'm like 20% invincible, right? Mind you, I'm new to this neighborhood and I'm pretty sure the neighbors were looking out their windows like, who the fuck just moved in and why are they so fucking weird? Confidence is high, gag reflex already going off as I'm approaching the thing because I'm just imagining, I have a very vivid imagination. I'm just imagining what it could be, what state it might be in, what might happen if I do pick it up, like all the things that might drop down from it. Just, oh, I'm so smart, like, you know, giving myself pep talks, like, come on, like, if you do this, you know, you're an adult, you can live on your own, you'll show mom and dad that there's nothing to worry about, they don't have to worry about you, that you can handle anything, you know, it's just all the pep talk that I could ever think about to give myself. Like, the driveway, the walk down the driveway is like literally 2 seconds, but I think it took me about like 5 minutes, taking like itty bitty teeny tiny baby steps just to get closer to the curb because I really did not want to deal with the dead raccoon. Center myself, put on my brave face. Come on, Pixie, you're a big girl, you can do this. And I finally get to the sidewalk. I look down into the gutter, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna grab it and just gonna deal with it. It turned out to be a fucking wig. Yes! It wasn't a dead raccoon at all. It was a wig that had somehow flew out of a car or off someone's head and had like tumbled in the gutter, tangled with leaves. It's a fucking wig. And I'm just standing on the sidewalk in my garbage bag armor going, well, that 30-minute ordeal was for absolutely nothing. And I just couldn't believe it. It was a wig. It wasn't a dead raccoon. And so I'm just standing there on the sidewalk in defeat. I guess one of the neighbors had come out to see what the heck was going on. And he just kind of gives me a look like, hey, what you doing? And I was like, nothing. And I quickly retreated back into my house and didn't deal with that wig. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been an actual dead raccoon. But the neighbor across the street, who has now moved out, thankfully, that was his first impression of me. If there were a dead raccoon, I'd probably do the same again. Maybe invest in like thicker garbage bags to prevent raccoon guts splatter back at me. Only in Pixie's weird life would I think a disheveled wig in the gutter is a dead raccoon that I need to dispose of. And we are already here. It's that time. Last bite, last bite, last bite, last bite, last bite. And we're done! Yeah! Thank you so much for watching another episode of Grub and Gab with me, Pixie. And thank you for enduring my story of the wild wig that I had to deal with. It's time for me to go wash up and clean the dishes. So until next time, toodles! Bye! Pixie life tip number 1, make sure it's actually a dead creature before donning the garbage bags in public. I don't know. This looks pretty high fashion to me.